wrong slides here.
I noticed, yeah, I had a hard time getting to them. That's right, I had the URL was wrong. I think it was hackathon _2, and it was wrong with hackathon _1. At least that's how I got them. Because I know you said they had all been uploaded, but I had a hard time finding them. That's where it was. Yeah. So if you try to download them, it's like a second version got uploaded, probably in the wrong place. So it replaced the hackathon slides, but you do have a second version one.
So I go back there and can I remove these like live?
I don't know, I've never tried that.
Okay, well, slides, I'm gonna remove them.
You're just gonna
And I'm
upload
gonna
it again.
upload them again.
Okay.
And we're gonna hopefully fix that. Okay. Introduction But 12:15 would also be, we're running late.
Yes, okay.
We're running late.
Thank you very much. Hi, by the way, I'm Cass. I know I've emailed you a ton of times. It's nice to meet you in person. How's it going? This is great.
Good turnout.
Yeah,
Interesting. Lots of good questions.
that's great.
I was only here for. Oh, you got it. All right.
You're basically IT now, Michelle.
I am not IT.
You are.
And I gave Ben a heads up that we were running late too.
Okay.
So, but he's in there. So,
Yep.
yeah.
I think he's on. Yeah.
It should be on.
He
That's the light.
was watching it.
And we tested it yesterday. It's fine. So tested her maybe at our lunch.
Yeah. So I have plenty of time. That's good because Jay was like, "Be sure to talk slow." He said Rob was talking too fast. I've been in Rockford, so you know you're running over time and you're trying to catch up.
Well, I tried not to. I didn't want to rush that because that's like the most important bit, right? For you.
So but you're good with 12 minutes?
I'm good with 12:15. Yeah, yeah. That works because we are running a little bit late.
Okay, I'm going to get empty.
Okay. So we're good there. FYI, we've been having a little problem with the slide advancing, slide deck sharing. Anita was working on a fix. So if that does happen, I just close the slides and I bring them back up again. But we only have like 5 slides or something like that anyway.
Yeah. There's some intro slides. I think I have 4 that I counted.
Yeah, so we should be okay.
But you're using the clicker. I'll use the clicker too.
Yeah, we've been using the clicker. If it doesn't work, then I try, and then. All right, we're going to get started in just a minute. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. So this is session 4, introduction to the hackathon. As we mentioned, the hackathon is currently happening. It happens the weekend just before the full meeting week starts. It's a 2-day event. And as we mentioned earlier, we have the QR code up here to record attendance. So if you could take a couple seconds and record that you attended this session, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm sorry? Already in the queue. Wow. Ali, do you have a question? Maybe practicing. Okay. Let's make sure. We're having our deck problems again. As mentioned before, technology on Sunday of the meeting is sometimes not behaving. Let's try this again. Okay, great. Okay, so again, this is the program agenda. We're at session number 4, and this is a lot about talking about the hackathon and running code. Our presenters today are Charles Eckel, we have right here in the room, and Benno Overrider, who is actually in the hackathon room right now, and we're going to be going live to him in just a moment after Charles does our introduction. So Charles has been in the IETF for quite a long time, and he actually helped start the IETF hackathon, so an original member here. So here's a little information about Charles and Benno. And in the future, if you decide to participate in a hackathon, it would be on the Saturday and Sunday before the IETF meeting. While you're here and you see Charles or Benno in the hallway and you have questions about the hackathon, definitely find out more about it. So we're gonna, oh, not again. Not current deck. Okay, and again, here's the note well. You've seen it a couple times. You're going to see it a lot more all week long. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Charles before our slide deck doesn't work anymore.
All right, fingers crossed.
Hope it keeps working. All right. So thanks for being here at this session, and happy to have the opportunity to talk to you about the hackathon, something that's near and dear to my heart. So yeah, as you've heard, maybe you've even heard the phrase rough consensus and running code. I don't know if that came up earlier, but the running code part is a very important part of that. And it always has been from the start. When the IETF first began, it was very important that people work on implementations of what they were trying to standardize. Um, and what you'll see is some working groups actually even require at least two independent implementations, because that's a really good way to sort of guarantee or illustrate that it's possible to implement the protocol from the draft and have it actually work with someone else, right, who's doing the same thing. Now, even if you're, and another thing you can do is you'll see there's an optional section called implementation status. And that's a place where the working group can actually track work that is being done on these implementations, so that it makes it easier for others to become aware of them, find them, add to them, that sort of thing. So here's the hackathon, and that was really started about 10 years ago, largely to put more focus on running code. As I said, it had always been a part of IETF, but I think what many of us had seen is that over time, a little of the focus had moved away from that, and we weren't seeing as many people collaborate on code as on the drafts. So both are very important, and we really ideally want both to be happening in parallel, so that as you're working on an idea and documenting it in the draft, you can also be implementing it and using that to feed back into the draft, right, as you learn what works and what maybe doesn't work so well. So that's really the goal of the hackathon. Bring people together. Let's focus on that. Let's get that collaborative spirit that you often hear and see in open source projects. Let's get that into the IETF. So instead of perhaps arguing over words in a document, we can actually use something that's a little more maybe straightforward, more math-like, correct? Let's see if we can get these things to actually work together. Also, very importantly, we want to extend the hackathon to reach more people, young people, developers, people who might not be as interested in actually working on the drafts, but they're talented programmers, talented software engineers, and enjoy working in the IETF that way by actually implementing the drafts and feeding that information back into the group. Oh, there we go, it worked. So very important, because you may have heard about hackathons in other contexts where oftentimes it's really more of a contest, and maybe there's a lot of prize money and you stay up 48 hours. It's very competitive. That's not what this is. This is meant to be collaborative. It's actually free to everyone to participate. So we welcome people to come, even if you're not staying for the IETF meeting, although we really hope that you do stay, because that's the best way for you and the IETF to get the most value out of your contributions. But it always happens on the weekend, as Michelle said. It's on the Saturday and Sunday before. It's free, open to everyone. We typically get a large percentage of the people who are coming to the IETF meeting at the hackathon. I'd say 30 to 40%. So you see 300 or so participants. That's about what we see on average. And the number of projects is quite large, like 40 or 50 across all the various different areas in which the IETF does work. Near the end of the hackathon, we stop and we have a short amount of time for people to present what they did. But that's really just a short 2 to 3 minute presentation, conversation starter, as you heard about with the drafts, that's a good way just to start talking to people. And then on Monday, you'll see that we have what's called Hack Demo Happy Hour. And that provides a venue so you can have more extended discussion around the projects. So very importantly, all the information about the hackathon can be found on the wiki. If you go there, you'll see a description of all the different projects. You'll see the people who are leading the projects. We refer to them as champions. So when you see a champion, it's not the person who won the hackathon. It's someone who's actually volunteered to lead a project in the hackathon. And if you go in there, you'll see this collaborative spirit, people working on different projects, working closely with each other. That's what it's all about. It's about advancing the pace and relevance of IETF standards. And just a quick shot of the wiki to give you an idea of what it looks like. As you can see, there's the list of projects there. You can see the champions. The important thing there is if you're interested in a given project, those are the people you can reach out to. If you can't find them in person, you can just send them an email or however they say to contact them. And I think that's it for my overview.
So now we're going to try to go live to the hackathon room. And here we have Benno.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Sounds good, Benno.
Excellent. So, hello from the hackathon room. I will step up a bit so you get a nice overview. There are about 250 people now working on different projects in different tables. And there's a very lively discussion, besides hacking, of course, besides writing code. So, it's a great start of the week. So, I hope to see you the next time here in the hackathon room. It's great to get started, to connect with people, to discuss ideas, as Charles already mentioned, but also, well, find running codes and interop, so testing your implementation against someone else's implementation. So we will be having lunch in half an hour. That's also a good part of the whole hackathon. And at 2 o'clock, you're free to, if you have time, free to drop by. At 2 o'clock, there will be presentations of the 40 plus projects that have been worked on during the weekend. Hope to see you next time. Bye bye.
All right. Thank you, Benno.
I guess one thing Michelle was mentioning, I think Benno was more in the front of the room, but when you first enter the room, I believe there should be a board that kind of tells you what projects at different tables so that you can kind of get in the right area. So that's one way, if you do have a chance to go over there, to check out, the projects that are there and find the group you're looking for.
Do we have any questions for Charles?
Hi, this is Prasad from Cisco. I had a question with regards to at what phase in the draft would you suggest we kind of do an hackathon?
Yeah, a great question. All phases, and very importantly, the sooner the better. So I think oftentimes we'll see people even with an initial draft coming in, they have an implementation, and ideally they've worked with someone else on another implementation, and they get that started right away. Of course, we do see a lot of people implementing existing RFCs and getting that type of interoperability, and that's very important too. But what we really like is where we see the implementations happening in parallel with the specifications, right from the start, all through the working group, process, right up until it becoming an RFC. Because then we know we have a really good quality specification that is easy to implement and works, and so that's ideal.
Thank you. Rahul Gupta. If I want to implement something at a hackathon, what's the process? How do I plan? Say I want to do a hackathon in Spain. How would I plan from now to Spain to get a hackathon going for my project?
Yeah. Okay. So anyone is welcome to start a project. So if there's not an existing project that you want to contribute to, so perhaps already is. So I don't know what your topic is, but there might be a project that you've seen and you can talk to other people about it. But you're more than welcome to champion a project yourself. And all you need to do is we usually ask that people you put some information on the wiki. You let people know who you are, what it is you want to do, and you'll see a lot of examples there, just very briefly, that describe what the project is. And then we usually encourage people, we have a mailing list for the hackathon. You send an email and you say, hey, in Madrid, I'm hoping to do a project around this area. Anyone else who's interested, contact me, and that's just how you get it started.
Thank you.
Any further
Okay.
questions?
Okay,
You-
well, great. Well,
oh,
thank you
one-
very
wait,
much.
looks
Oh,
like
one
one
more.
more.
Okay.
Varukas here. Just one quick question. So when you say it's free to, or do you mean including people who hasn't registered to IETF meetings?
Right. You do have to register for the hackathon, but
Mhm.
registering for the hackathon is free, and it's a separate thing from the your overall
Mhm.
meeting registration. So
Okay.
yeah, you can attend for free for the hackathon.
Okay,
And,
cool. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah,
and we see that a lot, especially when we are in a get like in Madrid. You'll see local people in Madrid who, you know, that's a nice thing about it being on the weekend. You don't need to take time off work. Ideally, you can just show up and participate. We hope you stay for the week, but you know, if that's not possible, we're happy to have you there for the hackathon.
Thank you.
When you register for the meeting, you'll have a bunch of different choices, and there's registration for the meeting. There's a separate registration for the hackathon. And then when you check in, you can probably look at your badge and see there's a hackathon only badge, there's a IETF meeting only badge, and then there's an IETF meeting badge with hackathon. So you would have that orange stripe on the bottom that says hackathon. So yeah, we provide various different badges for what you've signed up for. And you can always add hackathon when you check in on Saturday if you didn't previously register. Yeah, there is some remote participation for the hackathon. Not nearly as many in the room, but they're there.
Yeah, yeah, we have both. We have some projects that are run entirely remotely, and you know, that's good. Of course, it's easier. I mean, it works out better often if you're able to be there in person. But what we've seen can work very well is if there's some people in the room that kind of create the center for the project, and then people can participate in it remotely. If you're doing that type of project, what you want to make sure you do though is make it very clear to people how to present remotely. Are you going to, you know, are you going to use like a Zoom session? Are you going to use? We have a tool. What's the tool called that we?
Gather?
Yeah, Gather. Are you going to use Gather? Thank you. So just let people know how to communicate so that the people in the room can keep in touch with the people outside of the room.
Yep. Awesome. Thank
Okay,
you,
fantastic.
Charles.
Thank you. Hope to see you at the hackathon.
Okay, so we're going to break for lunch now. If you signed up for the new participant program, including lunch, you would have gotten a lunch voucher. And if you exit these doors and head to the right where the coffee is, you can exchange your voucher for a lunch. And we'll meet back here in about 45 minutes. And we'll be talking about advanced topics in the IETF, as well as internet drafts and RFCs. And then we're going to have a panel of experienced IETFers to talk about their experience and hot topics. So we'll see you back. Thank you. Thank you. That was fun.
The slide stopped working again.